Hey, so today I'm going to be going over a quick 5-minute hip girdle foam rolling session. So our goal is going to be to hit anywhere between 4 and 5 muscle groups and hit each muscle group for approximately a minute to a minute and a half. So again, shouldn't take any more than maybe 5-6 minutes. So we're going to start off by sitting on the foam roller. In this position, I can hit either both of my gluteals if they're very sensitive. Our goal could be to desensitize and just allow some gradual pressure into the glutes. I can also just kind of do a little bit of a lean. So now as you can see in this position, if I simply just kind of lean my hips over, I can now isolate onto one side of the glutes. And you can see I'm not going very fast. I'm allowing the roller to do its job. I'm allowing myself to feel maybe a tender or compressed spot. Breathe, exhale into that tissue and feel it soften into that foam roller. You don't want to be aggressively hitting those tender spots because I'm just going to kind of inherently become guarded and hypertonic. So the idea is to slowly go through this and feel as I change my hip angle length, the length of that tissue is going to change too. So sometimes it can be a little bit more aggressive if I'm slackened and I get that deep pressure into my sit bone. So just change that position up a little bit. And then I'm just going to kind of keep onto this right glute, cross my leg up and over. And now I'm hitting a bit more of the deep rotators of the hip girdle. So now I'm into my piriformis and some of the deep external rotators. I can lean into that a little bit more, getting more towards the outside of my glute by that bone, my greater trochanter on my hip, but not on the bone. I want to stay on the soft tissue. And then I can kind of lean back and isolate more towards my tailbone. So just in this position, I can hit those long rotators and the short rotators of my hip. From here, I'll face sideways again. If I stay in this position and start to rotate into the camera and just switch my legs here, I can now ensure that I'm onto a bit more of the lateral muscles of my hip. So I'm more into the glute medius and glute minimus. So I'm hitting basically the whole posterior chain of my hip. I can then continue to spin or rotate to the sky and just change the angle of that pressure, continuing into that side part of my glute. Now I can just roll right into my TFL, which is the kind of the more anterior portion of the muscles that make up my IT band. So notice that I'm not hitting my IT band at all. It's a very, very thick, immobile connective tissue. I can spend all day hitting my IT band. It's not going to change the pliability. So you're better off hitting some of the soft tissue up around the hip to decrease the tension of that IT band. So again, I'm going to stay a bit more forward, and I'm hitting that TFL or that tensor fascia lata. I can roll into that to hit more of the anterior fibers and get into my quadricep and my hip flexor, or I can open that to the sky and stay more on my TFL. Same speed, I can use my grounded foot and my leg to decrease the pressure, as well as my elbow. So you can see I'm going to continue to roll and get into that hip flexor. I can change the angle at my knee, bending the knee and tensioning and lengthening my quadricep and my hip flexor. I can do that different positions, different angles, just to get a little active release. So you can see as I just kind of started on my butt and rolled over into the front, I've hit several different muscle groups of my hip girdle. This is going to release, allow that 360-degree stability and tension into my hip.